The oil you poured into your engine this morning might be destroying it 1 mile at a time, and the brand doing it is probably the one sitting on the shelf at your dealership right now. I spent 8 months and just over $4,000 sending used oil samples to a certified independent laboratory. 10 brands, same test engine, same conditions, same lab. 8 of them failed in ways that should genuinely worry you. Only 2 are actually doing what the label says. Let's find out which is which. Drop the oil brand in your engine right now in the comments. Let's see how many of them show up on this list. Number 10, Supertech Full Synthetic. Let me start by telling you something the oil industry counts on you never learning. That API-certified starburst on the front of every oil bottle, the one supposedly guaranteeing your engine is protected, it means almost nothing in practice. API certification requires the oil to pass a series of bench tests conducted by the manufacturer themselves. Not an independent lab, not a third party. The company selling you the oil is the one telling you the oil is good. That is like asking a car dealership to write their own safety inspection report and then trusting it completely. Most of what sits on shelves was engineered to clear that floor by the smallest possible margin, which brings us to the brand that finished dead last in this entire investigation. Supertech Full Synthetic is Walmart's house brand. It sells for around $22 for a 5-quart jug, which has made it the top-selling motor oil in the United States by volume. More engines in America are running on Supertech right now than on any other single brand. Let that sink in while I tell you what the lab found. Ironware metals came back at 41 parts per million. Anything above 30 parts per million at 5,000 miles indicates accelerated wear. 41 is not a borderline number. 41 is a number that made the Blackstone Laboratory analyst add a handwritten note in the margin that said, "Consider shorter drain intervals." The TBN tells the full story. TBN, or total base number, measures an oil's ability to neutralize the acid that combustion creates. Acid destroys engine metal. A fresh oil should start around 8 to 10. When it drops below 2, the oil is finished. Supertech started at 7.2 and measured 1.4 at 5,000 miles. That oil had essentially lost all acid neutralization ability before the test was even complete. The additive package analysis explained everything. The phosphorus content, which indicates the primary anti-wear additive, came in at 512 parts per million. Premium synthetic oils run between 800 and 1200. Supertech's anti-wear protection is less than half of what your engine actually needs. A mechanic in Indianapolis named Ray, who has been rebuilding engines for 26 years, described what he sees from Supertech customers regularly. Full synthetic base stock with a budget additive package is still a budget oil. He said he has pulled heads on Camrys and Corollas with sludge patterns he would expect from a vehicle that never had an oil change at all. Then the owner shows him Walmart receipts. Supertech every time. At $22 per fill, Supertech feels like a bargain. The lab results suggest it is the most expensive oil in this entire test because the engine it is slowly destroying costs $8,000 to $12,000 to replace. Consider what that actually means over 10 years of ownership. A driver running Supertech 3 times a year at $22 spends $66 annually on oil. A driver who eventually needs an engine replacement because of accelerated wear spends somewhere between $8,000 and $12,000 in one visit. The math does not work in Supertech's favor, no matter how you run it. The brand at number 9 is not cheap. In fact, it has been trusted by American families for over 100 years. That trust is the problem. Number 9, Pennzoil Conventional. Pennzoil has been in American garages since 1913. Over a century of brand trust built through advertising, shelf presence, and the unspoken assumption that a brand that old must be doing something right. The lab results suggest the brand has been living off that legacy for a while. Ironware metals came back at 34 parts per million, copper at 18. Both elevated, but the real problem showed up in the TBN test. Pennzoil Conventional started at 6.8 and dropped to 1.9 at 5,000 miles. That depletion rate leaves your engine running in acidic conditions for roughly the last 1,500 miles of every oil change interval. The viscosity held reasonably well, which is actually the one positive finding. But holding viscosity while your TBN is gone means the oil is still creating a film between metal parts while acid quietly corrodes those same metal parts from underneath. It is like wearing a seatbelt in a car with no brakes. You feel safe. You are not safe. A car owner in Denver named Patricia described it plainly. She used Pennzoil conventional her entire life because her father used it and swore by it. At 112,000 miles, her Honda Accord needed a new timing chain. The dealer showed her the sludge buildup on the guide's and tensioner. Her oil change records were perfect, every 4,000 miles like clockwork. The mechanic told her Pennzoil conventional simply does not have the additive package to prevent deposit buildup in modern engines running at higher operating temperatures. That repair cost her $2,100. Her father's cars had simpler engines. The oil that worked in 1985 is not the oil that works today. The timing chain failure Patricia experienced is one of the most telling failure modes for a car running conventional oil past its useful life. Timing chains are lubricated by the same oil protecting everything else in the engine. When that oil loses its TBN and starts running acidic in the final 1,500 miles of every drain interval, the chain guides and tensioners bear the brunt of it, leaving deposits and wear that accumulate quietly, visit after visit, until something finally breaks. Subscribe so you never hand a 100-year legacy brand your engine and get a failing additive package in return. Number 8. Castrol GTX Conventional. Castrol GTX is the number 2 selling conventional oil in the United States. The marketing is polished and confident. The bottle talks about fighting sludge. The television commercials show healthy engines gleaming under shop lights. Our lab results told a different story. Iron wear metals came back at 31 parts per million, right at the threshold for concern. The TBN dropped from 7.1 to 2.3 at 5,000 miles. Marginally better than Pennzoil, still not good enough. But the copper reading was the number that stood out most. 24 parts per million of copper in used Castrol GTX indicates bearing surface wear that conventional oil is simply not equipped to prevent under the demands of modern engines. Here is the part worth understanding about Castrol GTX. It is not a bad 1985 oil. It is a mediocre 2025 oil. Engines have changed enormously over the past 4 decades. Tighter tolerances, higher operating temperatures, longer manufacturer service intervals, direct injection, turbocharging. A conventional oil formulated to old standards is being asked to do a job it was never designed for, in conditions it was never tested against, at intervals that would have seemed unreasonable just 20 years ago. Yet, it sits on the shelf at the same eye level it always has, with the same confident marketing, and millions of drivers keep buying it purely out of habit. The brand at number 7 positions itself as the reliable workhorse, the dependable everyday choice. The lab data has a very different opinion. Number 7. Valvoline Daily Protection Conventional. Valvoline's marketing around daily protection is almost aggressive in its confidence. The product is positioned as exactly what a normal driver needs. Nothing exotic, just honest, reliable protection for everyday driving. Our lab results put Valvoline Conventional in the same bracket as Castrol GTX, with results close enough that the ranking between them came down to copper wear metal readings. Iron at 29 parts per million, copper at 21. TBN dropped from 7.3 down to 2.1 at 5,000 miles. But the finding worth understanding specifically about Valvoline was the deposit formation. When the engine components were examined after the Valvoline test interval, varnish deposits on the piston skirts were measurably heavier than in any other test. Varnish is what happens when oxidized oil bakes onto metal surfaces. It restricts oil flow. It reduces heat transfer. It causes ring sticking, which kills compression, which kills power, which eventually kills the engine. Not overnight, not dramatically, slowly, invisibly, and expensively. A fleet manager in Chicago named Dennis runs 42 vehicles for a delivery company. He switched from Valvoline Conventional to a premium synthetic 3 years ago at his own insistence after 3 engines developed excessive oil consumption inside 60,000 miles. The repair bills came to $11,000 total. Switching oil cost the fleet maybe $400 more per year. He said he does not have a math problem with that decision. What makes the Valvoline varnish finding particularly relevant is how invisible it is to the average driver. You cannot see varnish building on piston skirts through the oil fill cap. You cannot hear it happen. You will not feel it until compression starts dropping and power starts fading. And by then, the accumulation of years of deposit formation has already done its work quietly and completely. The brand at number 6 is where this investigation gets genuinely infuriating because unlike the 4 conventional oils above it, this one charges charges you full synthetic prices. Number 6. Quaker State Full Synthetic. This one surprised me more than any other result in the test, because Quaker State Full Synthetic is not a cheap oil. You are paying for a synthetic product. The full synthetic label is supposed to mean something. In terms of base oil quality, it does mean something. The problem is the additive package. Iron wear metals came back at 26 parts per million, better than the conventional oils above it. But for a full synthetic, that number should be closer to 12 to 15 at 5,000 miles. The base stock is doing synthetic level work. The additive package is not holding up its end of the deal. TBN depletion was the real failure point. A fresh TBN of 8.1 dropped to 2.8 at 5,000 miles. A full synthetic oil with quality additive chemistry should retain a TBN above 4 at 5,000 miles. Quaker State is burning through its additive package nearly as fast as the conventional oils that cost half as much to buy. The phosphorus reading came in at 804 parts per million, higher than Supertech, but still meaningfully below what premium full synthetics deliver. Quaker State is charging full synthetic prices for a product with a conventional tier additive package. That gap between what the label implies and what the chemistry delivers is, in this investigation, the most dishonest value proposition in the entire group. The driver who buys Quaker State Full Synthetic is making what feels like a responsible, informed decision. They saw full synthetic on the label. They paid a price that confirmed the purchase felt premium. And they drove away with an oil that burns through its TBN nearly as fast as the $3 cheaper conventional sitting next to it on the shelf. That is not a small problem. That is the entire marketing model of a product designed to look like protection while delivering something considerably less. Subscribe so you can stop paying full synthetic prices for conventional tier protection. 6 oils. Federal minimum additive packages. TBN that collapses before you even reach the next oil change. Varnish baking onto piston skirts you will never see until an engine teardown forces the conversation. Pull out your last oil change receipt right now. Look at the brand printed across the top. If it is one of the 6 we just covered, that oil is sitting in your crankcase right now, doing exactly what we just described. But 4 brands in this test prove motor oil does not have to work this way. 4 brands are quietly delivering the chemistry your engine was actually designed to run on, and the first one on that list is going to floor you because it comes in cheaper than 2 of the brands that just failed. Number 5, Lucas Oil. Lucas Oil performed better than its price point suggested it had any right to. Iron at 21 parts per million. TBN retained at 3.6 at 5,000 miles. The additive package is honest and functional. For a budget full synthetic, those wear metal numbers are genuinely respectable and land well above everything in the bottom half of this investigation. The weak point was copper wear metal at 17 parts per million. That suggests the bearing protection chemistry could be stronger. Bearings run under high load and high heat, and the oil film protecting them needs more than functional additives. It needs robust additives. Lucas Oil is delivering the former when your engine deserves the latter. For a driver on a tight budget who cannot currently justify the cost of a premium synthetic, Lucas Oil is a meaningful step above every brand in the bottom 5. It outperforms all of them in every category that matters. The gap between Lucas Oil and Quaker State Full Synthetic is notable, given that Quaker State costs more and delivers weaker protection across the board. What Lucas Oil proves is something worth holding on to. Price alone is not the determining factor here. Quaker State costs more than Lucas and finishes lower. The additive package is what actually determines whether your engine gets protected. But Lucas Oil is not competing with what is coming on this list. The brands from number 4 down are operating in an entirely different category, and the gap between them and the bottom 5 is wider than most drivers would ever guess from looking at the bottles on a shelf. Number 4. Shell Rotella T6. Shell Rotella T6 is a diesel engine oil that hundreds of thousands of gasoline engine owners use voluntarily. After seeing the wear metal results, the reason becomes clear. Iron at 16 parts per million, copper at 9. The additive package was formulated for diesel engine punishment, which means it significantly over-engineers protection for most gasoline engine applications. Those wear metal numbers are the strongest in the investigation outside of the top 2. But Shell Rotella T6 carries a complication that keeps it from earning a universal recommendation. Diesel engine oils carry a higher ash content than gasoline engine specifications prefer. In vehicles with catalytic converters, which covers almost every car sold in the last 25 years, long-term use of a high ash diesel oil can gradually degrade the converter's efficiency. catalytic converter replacement runs anywhere from $800 to $2,500, depending on the vehicle. For older vehicles or high-mileage engines without modern emissions equipment, the protection numbers here are genuinely excellent. For a modern daily driver with a catalytic converter, still in good health, Shell Rotella T6 is a complicated recommendation worth understanding before committing to. The data makes Shell Rotella T6 one of the more interesting findings in this entire investigation, because it reveals something the oil industry rarely discusses openly. The best protection chemistry in a given category is not always the right chemistry for your specific engine. Understanding what your engine needs is as important as understanding what any product delivers. The next brand has a cult following in performance car communities. The lab results explain part of why, but only part. Number 3, Royal Purple. Royal Purple has a devoted following among enthusiasts, and the lab results partially justify that loyalty. Iron wear metals at 19 parts per million, copper at 11. TBN dropped from 9.2 to 4.1 at 5,000 miles. That TBN retention is the strongest number in the middle tier of this investigation. The additive package is clearly more robust than anything in the bottom 5. The phosphorus reading came in at 960 parts per million. Anti-wear protection is meaningfully higher than every brand below it on this list. So, why is Royal Purple at number 3 instead of higher? Viscosity stability. Under sustained heat during highway testing cycles, the viscosity index dropped more than expected for a premium-priced product. The oil was still within grade at 5,000 miles, but the trend line suggested it would struggle approaching 7,000 miles. For a product priced at roughly $12 per quart, the performance should be more consistent across the full drain interval. Royal Purple is a genuinely good oil. In a world where Supertech and Pennzoil Conventional are the alternatives, it is a significant upgrade, and the enthusiast community that swears by it is not wrong to do so. But it is not the best oil in this investigation, not even close to the best. And the gap between third place and second place is where the real story gets interesting. The viscosity stability concern matters more the longer you go between changes. A driver changing oil at 5,000 miles will see Royal Purple perform close to its promise. A driver stretching to 7,000 miles, which its premium price might tempt them to justify, is likely to find the oil trending downward in exactly the range where the data showed it struggling. Number 2, Mobil 1 Extended Performance. Mobil 1. Extended Performance is the most widely available premium full synthetic in the United States, and our lab results confirm it earns that premium positioning in ways the marketing materials actually understate. Iron wear metals at 12 parts per million, copper at 8, TBN started at 10.8 and retained at 6.1 at 5,000 miles. Viscosity stability was the strongest result in the entire test. At the end of 5,000 miles of mixed driving, Mobil 1 Extended Performance was still performing within 3% of its fresh viscosity specification. That number matters more than most drivers ever realize, because viscosity stability is what determines whether your engine gets protected during cold starts, high RPM operation, and sustained highway cruising. An oil that shears down under heat is an oil that lets metal touch metal. Mobil 1 did not shear down. The phosphorus reading came in at 1,080 parts per million. The deposit control chemistry produced the cleanest piston skirts and ring lands of any brand below number 1. A car owner in Seattle named Thomas has run Mobil 1 in his 2009 Tacoma for 11 years and 217,000 miles. He had the engine inspected at a machine shop during a minor timing cover repair at 200,000 miles. The machinist told him the cylinder walls showed wear equivalent to a 60 to 80,000 mile engine. 217,000 miles. The engine looked barely broken in. Mobil 1 Extended Performance is widely available, straightforward to purchase, and priced at a level most drivers can absorb without restructuring their maintenance budget. It does not require a dealer network or an online account. It sits on the shelf at most auto parts stores. For the vast majority of everyday drivers who want genuine long-term engine protection without hunting for a specialty brand, Mobil 1 Extended Performance is the most accessible high-performance option in this entire investigation. The data backs that recommendation without hesitation. Subscribe so you know exactly which quart to reach for before your next oil change. One brand remains, and it beat every other result in this investigation by a margin that genuinely stopped me cold when the results came back. Number 1, Amsoil Signature Series. Amsoil is not sold at Walmart or AutoZone. You buy it online or through a dealer network, and that distribution model has kept it off most drivers' radar for decades. After what our lab found, that obscurity is one of the most expensive information gaps in the American automotive market. Ironware metals at 9 parts per million. 9. The industry average for full synthetic oils at 5,000 miles is around 20. Amsoil came back at less than half that. Copper at 6 parts per million. Aluminum at 4. Every single wear metal reading was the lowest in the entire investigation by a significant margin. TBN started at 11.4 and retained at 7.2 at 5,000 miles. Read that number again. 7.2. That oil still had more acid neutralization capacity remaining at 5,000 miles than most oils in this entire test. Started with when fresh. Supertech was essentially dead at the same mileage. Amsoil still had more than 7 points of protection left. The phosphorus reading was 1,140 parts per million. The anti-wear protection is more than double what Supertech delivers. A performance engine builder in Portland named Marcus has built engines professionally for 22 years and runs Amsoil exclusively in every engine that leaves his shop. He said he has torn down engines with 150,000 miles on Amsoil that looked like they had 40,000. The wear surfaces were clean, the bearing journals were smooth, the ring grooves had zero varnish. He has also torn down engines at 60,000 miles on cheap oil that were ready for the junkyard. At $12 per quart, Amsoil's Signature Series costs more than every other brand in this test, but here is the number that reframes everything. The average engine replacement on a mid-size sedan runs between $8,000 and $12,000 in labor and parts. The price difference between Supertech at $22 per fill and Amsoil Signature Series at roughly $60 per fill on a 5-quart engine is $38 per oil change. If you change oil every 5,000 miles and drive 15,000 miles per year, that is 3 oil changes annually. The premium for choosing the best oil over the worst oil is $114 per year. $114 per year is the price of genuinely protecting an engine worth $10,000. Most drivers are getting that calculation completely backwards, saving $114 a year while exposing themselves to a $10,000 engine failure, 8 months of testing, $4,000 in laboratory fees, 10 brands under identical controlled conditions. The conclusion is clear. Amsoil Signature Series and Mobil 1 Extended Performance are the only 2 brands in this test that delivered wear metal readings, TBN retention, and viscosity stability, consistent with genuine long-term engine protection. Every other brand failed, some of them cheap, some of them not cheap at all. None of them protecting your engine the way the marketing claims they are. The oil you run right now is either building engine life or stealing it. There is no neutral position. Before your next oil change, open the hood and pull the dipstick. Wipe it on a white cloth. Dark brown or black oil at less than 3,000 miles means your current brand is depleting its additive package faster than it should. Clean, amber-colored oil means the chemistry is still working. That 30-second check, done every few weeks, tells you more about your current oil's remaining protection than any bottle label ever will. Switch to one of the 2 brands that passed this investigation and stay on a consistent interval. 1 oil change from now. Your engine is already building life instead of losing it. By year 3, the difference shows up as a smoother cold start, quieter operation at idle, and a dipstick that stays amber longer between changes. Click the video showing on your left right now, because the radiator flush investigation I ran next makes this one look mild, and you absolutely want to see those results before you touch your coolant cap.